Welcome to the Kootenays, one of Canada's most underrated gravel cycling destinations. In this video, we're riding through 5 of the most unforgettable gravel routes you can tackle in 2025. From historic mining trails to alpine lakes and rail-grade valleys, these are the rides that will make you fall in love with the wild side of the Kootenays. Okay, the 5th best gravel bike ride in the Kootenays for 2025. Our first ride starts in Kaslo, an historic little town on the shores of Kootenay Lake. Kaslo is home to beautifully preserved heritage buildings that harken back to its mining boom days in the early 1900s and late 1800s. Just outside of Kaslo, there's an old wagon road that winds through forest and history on its way to a remote alpine lake. Today, we're riding to Fish Lake, one of the hidden gravel gems of the Kootenays. This route is quiet, scenic, and steeped in the story of the Canadian frontier. Not sure if this gargoyle or monster is symbolic of what's to lie ahead. It's at the trailhead, or just past the trailhead. Hopefully it's not indicative of horrible things to come. The Kaslo-Sandon wagon road was built in the late 1800s during the silver boom. It once served as a vital link between mining towns. Today it's mostly forgotten, except by adventurous gravel riders and mountain bikers looking for solitude and a connection to the past. The first few kilometers hug the Kaslo River and climb through mixed forest. It's peaceful, shaded, and the gravel is mostly smooth, but don't get too comfortable. As you gain elevation, the trail becomes more rugged. Expect chunky sections, even washouts, and a few stream crossings. A gravel or mountain bike with 40mm plus tires is ideal. And yes, bring bear spray. This is bear country. The climb out of Kaslo is no joke. We gained over 700 meters of elevation in just over 30 kilometers of riding. But the payoff is worth it. As you reach higher ground, the views open up. You're surrounded by peaks, and on clear days you can see all the way across the Kootenay Valley. But the real prize is still to come. On the day we did this ride, smoke from nearby fires had rolled into the valley and obscured some of our views, but it was still an amazing ride. Fish Lake feels like a secret. There's no fanfare, no crowds, just still water, alpine silence, and the occasional curious loon. It's the perfect spot to take a break, cool off, and feel like you've earned this ride. On this day, we had started our ride to Fish Lake relatively late in the afternoon, and so we decided that rather than ride the wagon trail back home, we would simply ride the highway back to Kaslo. And believe it or not, the ride back home was almost as spectacular as the ride out to Fish Lake on the wagon trail. Once back in Kaslo, we spent a beautiful night in the historic Kaslo Hotel. Okay, the 4th best gravel bike ride in the Kootenays for 2025. This morning, we're rolling out from Nakusp, one of the most charming towns in the Kootenays, for a quiet gravel ride along the old Slocan rail corridor. Our destination, just beyond Summit Lake, where the valley narrows and the forests close in. There was a little bit of rain last night, so the trail is a little wet. Not so much that it's going to negatively impact this ride. This route is pure Kootenay magic, scenic, quiet, and loaded with character. The ride starts on a gentle paved stretch heading south from Nakusp. It's not long before you turn onto gravel rail trail, a route that once carried ore and timber down the valley, but today it carries nothing but riders, hikers, and the occasional black bear. This is classic rail trail riding, steady grades, wide open views, and just enough rough gravel to keep it interesting. It's the kind of ride where you don't need to hammer the pedals, you just soak up the stillness. You'll pass a mix of cedar forest, open meadows, and even old homesteads in clearings. In spring, the wildflowers are everywhere. In fall, it's golden larch season. The surface is mostly hard-packed gravel with a few softer sections closer to Summit Lake, especially after rain. Summit Lake is the perfect halfway stop or turning point depending on your legs. There's a small recreation site here with a beach and picnic area. If you're lucky, you might catch loons calling across the water or even a moose in the marshy inlets. This is where the ride shifts. Just past the lake, the trail narrows, the gravel gets rougher, and the sense of isolation deepens. Most riders turn around here, but if you're up for an adventure, the trail does continue towards hills and the Slocan Valley. This ride from Nakusp to Summit Lake isn't flashy, it's not technical, but it's one of those routes that sticks with you, the kind of ride that lets your mind wander while your tires hum beneath you. It's what gravel riding is all about. If you're planning a trip through the Kootenays, make time for this one. Okay, the third best gravel bike ride in the Kootenays for 2025. Today we're riding one of the most scenic and underrated sections of the Kettle Valley Rail Trail, starting in Christina Lake, rolling through Grand Forks and heading west towards Niagara. This stretch blends wide open rail trail, historic markers, riverside cruising, and that small town Kootenay charm. This route begins just south of Christina Lake, where the KVR picks up with a mix of packed gravel and double track. The surface is smooth in most sections, and you're immediately immersed in forest and farmland. It's the kind of route that's built for long, quiet spins. The trail shadows the Kettle River for much of the ride. There are long, flowing sections where you barely touch the brakes, just cruise and take it all in. You'll pass remnants of the old rail line, bridges, embankments, and even the odd rusted-out signal. As you roll into Grand Forks, the trail briefly becomes more urban, but it's still bike-friendly and easy to navigate. Grand Forks is a great mid-stop ride, a place to grab a snack, refill with water, and for a lot of people, that's a great place to turn around. If you continue on past Grand Forks, the trail becomes quieter again, rolling through farmland on one side, low ridges on the other. It's a great section for spotting deer, hawks, or even the odd bear in spring and fall. As you approach Niagara, the trail narrows slightly and becomes more remote. If you're planning a gravel tour of the Kootenays, don't overlook this stretch of the KVR. It's approachable, scenic, and loaded with charm. And best of all, it's just far enough off the beaten track to feel like you're on your own little adventure. Okay, the second best gravel bike ride in the Kootenays for 2025. We're starting today's ride in New Denver on the shores of Slocan Lake. New Denver is one of the most scenic and historic little towns in the Kootenays. Our goal today is to ride to the start of the old access road to Sandon, a ghost town. And here's evidence of the old railway and even some old spikes. The ride starts with a climb out of town. It follows back roads and gravel connectors just outside of New Denver. The views are immediate. You can see Slocan Lake on one side and the towering Selkirks on the other. The first stretch is a gravel rider's dream. Firm surface, barely any traffic, and the kind of uphill you barely notice until you look back and realize how far you've climbed. The real highlight for me of this ride was the little cable car across Carpenter Creek. This was like an adventure out of an Indiana Jones movie. You can get one or two people with their bikes in at a time. You have to manually pull yourself across Carpenter Creek, but this just adds to the magic of this ride. This part of the Kootenays was part of a silver boom in the late 1800s. The discovery of galena, silver-lead ore, sparked the region's rapid development. About 1888 to 1914, several mines in the valley extracted lead, zinc, and copper. Once we arrived at the base of the Sandon Cody access road, we turned around and headed back down towards New Denver with the plan of riding out along the lake towards hills. This part of the ride follows the old rail trail that was once the Nakusp and Slocan Railway. The grade is consistent, the gravel is smooth, and the road winds through shaded forest, open pasture, and you get beautiful views of Slocan Lake. This stretch of the rail trail offers constant views west across the lake to the Valhallas, some of the most dramatic peaks in the Kootenays. Once we got to the end of Slocan Lake, we decided to turn around and head back to New Denver. Okay, the best gravel bike ride in the Kootenays for 2025. Morning, everyone. We are coming to you today from Slocan in the West Kootenays. Anyway, today we are riding down the Nakusp Slocan Trail. So we're going from Slocan to South Slocan. So this ride is in the heart of the Slocan Valley, from the village of Slocan all the way down to South Slocan. This stretch of the Slocan Valley Rail Trail is one of the most peaceful and rewarding gravel routes in the Kootenays. Flat, scenic, and full of quiet charm. The trail begins just outside the village of Slocan, where the old rail line once carried silver ore down to the Columbia River. Today it's being transformed into a non-motorized, packed gravel route that follows the Slocan River for roughly 50 kilometers. This is rail grade riding at its best, wide, smooth, and steady. You don't need fancy gearing or high-tech suspension here, just soft tires, a relaxed cadence, and appreciation for the quiet. The Slocan River is your constant companion, clear, calm, and perfect for a quick dip in the summer. Yeah, we've just passed several big examples of bear scat on the trail. So he's in here somewhere. In spring and fall, the valley lights up with wildflowers or autumn color. As you roll into South Slocan, you've covered approximately 50 kilometers without ever feeling like you were really working all that hard. This ride is about flow, nature, and taking the long way through one of BC's most beautiful valleys. We stopped at the Frog Peak Cafe in South Slocan just to refuel before turning around and heading back to Slocan. According to Strava, we covered just over 100 kilometers that day, and we gained about 325 meters of elevation, which I find incredibly hard to believe. The ride to me felt as though there was little, if any, elevation gain. This has to be, this is my favorite ride in the Kootenays. This trail is so beautifully maintained. It is just ideal for gravel cycling. If you're interested in doing a century ride on gravel, this is the place to do it. It is just spectacular. And the views of the river and the beautiful valley are really just breathtaking. What's great about this ride is its accessibility. You don't need to be ultra fit or highly geared. It's flat, low traffic, and suitable for any bike with a bit of tread. It's the perfect introduction to gravel bike riding. Okay, so those are the best gravel bike rides in the Kootenays for 2025. If you like this video, you found the information useful, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think are some of your favorite gravel bike rides in the Kootenays. Until we ride again, take care.